Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who do rule well. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, the 144,000, those men that are doing this work in sincerity and in truth across the four corners of the earth. And much love to the one-third and the innumerable multitude of you believers out there. To you all, I say Shalom. I'm the brother Yeshaya from the Great Millstone West Palm Beach Church, and I pray, Lord willing, that this lesson is edifying through the Spirit. All right. Even though I have quite a few scriptures, I'm going to make this relatively quick, short to the point, because honestly, it's just one of those things where you really don't even have to talk about much. But the thing is, we in this ministry of ours, we have to go over the ins and outs of this Bible, right? We have to talk about the things that other people don't, the things that other people won't. We have to address the wickedness in this world. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about Hebrew Israelites, especially those here at Great Millstone. We have taken on, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemal Shai, the mission of reproving and correcting and addressing the wickedness in this earth. All right. The scriptures talk about reproving, right? That's a part of the scriptures, correcting, educating, edifying, right? And so the reason why this even came up is because I was on something the other day, some type of social media, and I noticed the guy mentioned, I should have screenshotted it, but he said something like along the lines of, I've always wanted a mother and a daughter, and when I saw that, I got instantly like queasy, like I just felt out of sorts, Then I don't know the guy, you know what I mean? But I just saw that and I'm like, man, what the hell? But this is where we're at in 2025 in Babylon, where people will openly say things like that. Now, do I know that a lot of people will scoff and troll and say things online? Sure. But also we live in a world of demons, witches and warlocks and people of inhabitants of Sodom and Gomorrah. So we're dealing with a lot of high level wickedness in these last times. Excuse me, these last days. But let me see here. Like I said, this is it's self-explanatory, but it got to be addressed. It has to be addressed so the blood can be off our hands. All right. So I'm going to start at Leviticus 18. I'm going to start at 1, then I'm going to jump down. This is Leviticus 18 and 1. It says, And the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It says, And say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So the Lord was setting a list for rules, like don't follow after the things that the Egyptians and the Canaanites are doing. All right. And that's always how the Lord has been with the nation of Israel, right? Serve him only. Okay. It says, Ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances to walk therein. I am the Lord your power. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai. So we do the things that the Lord says, hey, we're going to live, we're going to abide, because his judgments are going to get heavy upon his earth real soon. Salakia. Right? So it says, now it goes into the different types of things that you can or can't do. None of you shall reproach to any that is near of kin to him, to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right. So we're gonna get into some things here. Now, before I even set it off, so the title says it all, but something along the lines of a man does not deal intimately with a woman and her daughter. You're not supposed to do that. That's going off. That is a sin in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shai. Right? It says, and this stuff you just can't take out of the law too. People try to do it with the law, but what about things like this about who you can sleep with and who you can't? Right? But we live in a world that's not led by the Bible. So these people, you think you tell them that they can't sleep in a certain position, they come like, man, I'm gonna do what I want. But the world shouldn't be the way it is, and that's what people don't understand. All right, but it says in verse 7, the nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. So you're not supposed to be dealing with your mother, right? You're not supposed to be trying to have sex with your mother. All right, make it frank. It says, the nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. So whether it be your mother or whether it be your father has another wife that may not be your mother, that may be another wife, a sister wife, or, a concubine. He says you're not supposed to deal with her either, right? And that was the sin of Reuben, right? But it says, I'm going to jump down to verse 17. It says, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. Neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswomen. It is wickedness. That's plain cut code. You're not going to find that precept in the New Testament. You're not going to find that position where you can justify this madness, man. Right? So it says, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. So you can't say, I like the moms and the daughter too. That was some worldly bugged out stuff that Babylon has taught our people. Like, hey, it's okay. And you can do whatever you want. That Aleister Crowley, do as thou wilt spirit. Right? But you can't have a mother and her daughter. That's an ultimate no-go in the eyes of the Most High. All right? Let me see here. Oh, I can skip that part. Let me go here, get some more scriptures. This is Ezekiel 16:21. Thou hast moreover multiplied thy fornication in the land of Canaan and in Chaldea, and yet thou was not satisfied herewith, right? So Jake multiplied the amount of wickedness that they were doing in that land. And we're going to get this word fornication in a moment, because there's a lot of big misconception about that word as well. A lot of lies that Christians tell when it comes to that word too. But this is John 8:41. John 8:41. Ye do the deeds of your father. Then said they to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even the Most High. Right? So they said that this is, I believe, it's speaking to the Pharisees, and they weren't born of fornication. But, man, there's so much wickedness going on in Babylon, man. That is crazy. But they're going to praise the Most High, but they be born in fornication. They be born in wickedness. And it's not just wickedness. I'll get into the technical definition in a moment. This is 1 Corinthians 6:13. It says, meats for the belly and belly for the meats, but the Most High shall destroy both of it from them. Now the body is not for fornication, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. So people in the world would say, there you go. People in the world will sit up and try to make this make sense in their head. But that they think fornication is just sex. Right? That's what they think fornicate. Oh, you're a fornicator. You had sex before marriage. Well, when you understand the Bible, sex is marriage. Right? What's that? Genesis the 24th or the 27th chapter? It let you know that Isaac went into Rebekah's tent and she became his wife and he loved her after Sarah died. You see? So it wasn't, that's marriage. Why did the Lord say they were fornicating, they were sinning, and why didn't he judge them? Because they were not fornicating. All right. Before I get my scriptures, I might as well go ahead and get that word so there's no lack of understanding. So any of the listeners can follow along. So this is the word fornication. You can type it in it's called a Blue Letter Bible app. You can type the word fornication and see it yourself. So the apostles, Elder Apostle Hart Ben has gone into this years ago, right? But it says the word there for fornication is called porneia, right? Which is where you get the word porn. Porneia. It says illicit sexual intercourse, right? So illicit means forbidden ultimately. So that's what fornication is, illicit sexual intercourse. It's such as, and they give examples, adultery, fornication, homosexuality, lesbianism, intercourse with animals, sex, and then it says sexual intercourse with close relatives. All right, that's on the list. So if you think that you can just deal with even a mother and her daughter, you can say, oh, well, they're not related to me, but they're near to kin to each other. Right, so that's wicked, man. So when I heard that person say that, I'm like, oh my God, Sodom, man, Babylon and Gomorrah. You know, this place is Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah, man. Man, me and Gabar and I, we just went to go get some food not too long ago, and man, we saw one guy look like he was straight. This other guy walking behind him, got his hand up his back, rubbing on his back like that's your woman. You know, your woman got a low shirt on or something. You rubbing the back of her lower back. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, it was disgusting, man. It was disgusting. May the Lord destroy these people, man. But you can't sleep with the mom. I'm trying to stay on topic. You can't sleep with the mother and the daughter. That's going off. No matter how you try to twist it, make it sound good or plan it, if it's the will of the Lord, it's gonna go down. But this is illicit sexual intercourse, man. Right? You know, you can't have both, man. You know, you can't have both. You got to be able to have the mother or the daughter. And see, the fact that we even have to talk about this stuff is wild. You know, you would think some things are just common sense, but they say common sense ain't so common, man. Okay? It says harlotry, including adultery and incest, figuratively idolatry. I thought I had one more here. Where did it go? It says properly of illicit sexual intercourse in general. You see that? So it's just this madness is everywhere. But ultimately, it's even goes into, you know, being a divorced wife, things like that. But an illicit sexual action, that's off. That's all. That's off term. That's off the table. You can't do it. I don't care how enticed you are. I don't care how bad she is. I don't care how beautiful the daughter is. I don't care how big both of their booties are. I don't care how big her rack is. You know, you just can't run from it. You got to deal with it. Deal with your problems, man. Okay? And so if you're going to run away, you flee the act, right? This is 1 Corinthians 6 and 18. It says flee fornication. So you flee the act, but you deal with your problems as a man, right? It says flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. But it says flee fornication. You know, those illicit sexual acts, having a mother and a daughter, that just ain't right, bro. You that greedy too? Come on, man. Let's see. It says, it says 1 Corinthians 7 and 2. It says, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband. So this is where, you know, you get the idea that it says let every man have his own wife. You know, so hey, man, you can have your woman to avoid this wickedness, man. But dudes nowadays, you know, if they don't got a right spirit, they out here. We coming back and we seeing dudes are flaming hot, man. You know, this place is it's got to burn, man. That's the only result for Babylon, America. It says Galatians 5 and 19. It says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. That's a work of the flesh. Fornication, man. That's something your flesh want to do. That ain't about integrity. That ain't about honor, right? It's about illicit sexual action. So it is off limits. Let me make it clear. It is off limits with the Most High God to have these illicit sexual actions and think that having a mother and a daughter is okay. It's not. In no way, shape, or form. Let me see here. This is Ephesians 5:3. It says, but fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becoming saints, right? Saints means to be holy, separate, set apart. So he says, but about fornication and uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named. So can't nobody ever supposed to be able to put that on you, because you are becoming a saint. You have the mentality of the saints. You know, the righteous, holy saints, according to the Bible, the prophets. All right, let me see here. It says, 1 Thessalonians 4:3, for this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication. So this is where the people say abstinent. Abstinent also means to stay away from something or not indulge in it. Right? That's what that means. So you can't be indulgent in wickedness. You can't be indulgent in the ways of this world. You can't be indulgent in illicit sexual actions and doing things that are unlawful. You know, you shouldn't even want to sleep with a mother and her daughter. You know, Jake be greedy, I'm gonna get the best of both worlds. Brother, the Lord ain't designed things to operate in that day, operate in that way. If he would have said something. Okay, let me see here. Abstain from fornication. And just stay away from it. All right, but it says, Jude 1:7, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, we always use these examples, and, you know, it's all through the Spirit. But at the end of the day, this is Sodom and Gomorrah. They are, and that back in that time, they didn't just have homosexuality. They had wickedness, man. That's why suffering the vengeance that you turn fire. And that's what we're seeing now. A man, you can't even shake a man's hand. This dude be sodomite, effeminate, and weak, and you know, this place is just turned upside down, man. Yahweh Shem Shai gonna come and he gonna wreak havoc on this place, man. You know, but you cannot sleep with a mother and a daughter. Point blank, period. That's the will of the Lord, man. So I know a couple parts of this I was dragging a little bit. I'm gonna have to do some post-edit work and get it together. But I just wanted to say that, because anybody thinking that that's okay, it ain't right. Shit ain't right. Too many women out here. All right. But I pray, Lord willing, that this lesson was edifying. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wachakodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone to rule well. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. Until next time, Shalom.